welcome everybody. This is Sherman Ray, and this is the TNC podcast. I'm screwing up here just a little bit, folks, because I've got some other things that I've got working here in front of me and some new stuff. So, pardon me if I screw up just a little bit here. But, anyways, so we're doing a kind of a Saturday show. So I wanted to make sure that we got this in. Oh, I guess I should put my microphone over here too. Let's do this. You probably can hear me now too, can't you? Let's do that again. So I want to thank you all for being a part of the broadcast today. Here is Sherman Ray, and this is the Nevada Conservative. Man, sometimes you just get ahead of yourself here and you just really screw up. So we're doing the Saturday show today, and today's show we're going to talk a little bit about probably one of my favorite subjects, and it's about futurism. It's about the space shuttle. It's about Artemis 2, and it's about where we should probably be right now if only certain things would happen. So stick around today, guys. I think you're going to enjoy this show. No, as a matter of fact, I know you're going to enjoy today's show. It is the Saturday edition of TNC Podcast. I'm Sherman Ray. We'll be back in just a minute. All right, folks, we are back. I'm Sherman Ray, and this is the Nevada Conservative Podcast, TNC Podcast. And many of you probably checked this out this week. It was the landing of the Artemis 2 rocket that went off. It took off about 10 days ago, and it came back to Earth. And when it did, it marked something in history that we had not seen for most of, and I know most of my lifetime, but for a lot of people, it was the first time they'd ever known that we'd actually gone to space. And so the last time we had gone to, and not just we're talking about the space shuttle or anything like that, but literally going around the moon or going to the moon or something like that, had been like 54 years. And so I remember this very well, as I remember this as a small child, that the man first stepped on the moon. I remember the whole thing. I remember the space shuttle and everything else like that. And so it was a momentous day. We went further than any man has ever gone before, which was just fantastic. 10 days later, they landed exactly the way we started. And something interesting happened during the conference that they had with the people from Mission Control. They were talking with all the head honchos, the smart guys. And they were saying, we need to do this even more, and we got to do it we got to do it on a monthly basis. Can you imagine what we would be like if we would just keep doing this over and over again? You see, because after basically the space shuttle, had its mishap in the Challenger accident back in the, when was that? Oh my gosh, I don't remember when it was. But when Challenger blew up, that was it. They said, we're not putting men up in space again. That was it. And so all of this work that we'd done over the last few years would just basically stop until we had Elon Musk, and he got together and he started with SpaceX and started putting up space shots with people on it, that kind of stuff, which is great. But NASA really had not done anything, and so it got me thinking. It got me thinking about where would we be as a society? Where would we be as a I don't know if we had where would we be as a planet if we had just back in the early 70s continued to work at our space shuttles and space exploration and stuff like that. Barring any wars or anything like that, if mankind just started getting his crap together, where would we be at? And I think you could even expand this. If we as a nation would have just spent all of our time, rather than fighting with each other, You know what I mean? This is what drives you crazy. We're fighting with each other so much, and we're using all these I don't know, this energy on fighting rather than we should be doing it on space exploration. So I had a conversation, and I had a conversation with my friend Grok, because I use Grok all the time. I really do. We have great conversations about it. And, you know, this is iron sharpens iron. And when I did this, the answers that I got from Grok were just amazing. And this is something I want to share with you. Was this conversation I had with Grok, and I said, hey, I have a hypothetical that I'd like to ponder. And I said, look, when I was a kid back in I was a kid in the 60s and 70s, but before that, we had futurists from the 50s and the 40s. They would say that, guess what we're going to have come 2000 and 2020-ish, they said by now we would have jetpacks, and we would have, you know, we'd have flying cars, and we'd have shuttles to the moon, that kind of stuff. And you know what we have now, after all of these years of all this futuristic stuff and all these cool things we've got? Here's what we got, folks. Oh, here it is right here. It's a watch. A Dick Tracy watch is what we got. We got a cell phone. Okay, I got a cell phone, and I got earbuds. That's really pretty much as far advanced as we've got. Flying cars, tell them to have that. Levitating motorcycles, none of that stuff, right? Space shots to the moon, none of that, okay? And so I said, what would, and the reason why is because we have, as a species, have spent all of our time looking backwards and fighting over land and fighting over who's going to be the most powerful and who's going to have the biggest navy and who's going to have the, you know, and China wanting to take over the world. We have the Russians, we have the Iranians, we have everybody wanting to take over the world. And for some reason, we just forgot that, guess what? We should be able to do more things in our lives than what we're seeing right now, because we're just not seeing the fruit of what the futurists of this back in the 50s and the 40s said we were going to have. So once again, I had this conversation with Grok, and Grok said something very interesting. He said, in this alternate timeline that I had envisioned, this is what would happen if we had all of our build-up, instead of our build-up of war industrial stuff, but we had it in research and development and international collaboration. We'd likely see, and this is what Grok says, basically, because everything goes exponentially. I want you to understand this. It wouldn't be, guess what, this year we'd have a rocket, and then next year we'd have 2 rockets. Oh no, it would go exponentially. Because we're going to be doing leapfrog things. You know, it would compound 10 times, because the more you do things, the better off you get with it. You know what I'm saying? They said that we would most likely be a multi-planetary species by now, with far more advanced technology and a technological civilization on Earth. If we had just continued on the path that we had done starting back in the 70s, we would already be a multi-planetary people. We would already be, and we're going to talk about this because I don't want to go too far, get ahead of myself, but the 50s futurists, think about Popular Mechanics. Many of you remember that. They don't even have Popular Mechanics out anymore. World's Fair, artists like Arthur Rodenbaugh, okay? They dreamed big. They dreamed of flying cars, robots, robot housekeepers. Okay, we have robot housekeepers now, don't we? Yeah, we call it a Roomba. No, we would have, like, literally robots, not like the kind you have at Amazon that are just barely getting off the ground, but we'd already have robots in your home doing things for us. We'd have moon bases, which we're probably going to start having in the next couple of years. Mars colonies already, if we'd have just kept going. Food pills, domed cities, and space hospitals. This is just the beginning, guys. I'm so excited about bringing this to you today, because I think it's something that people are going to begin to talk about. They're going to say that, hey, maybe we should really put some more of our energy into this whole space exploration, because guess what? It is going to, we're going to reap benefits that we never thought possible before. Okay, so when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the future, what it could look like if we just continue on this course right now. This is Sherman Ray with the TNC podcast. We'll be back in just a minute. All right, folks, we are back. Sherman Ray, and this is the TNC podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I didn't say this at the beginning because I think I got all discombobulated. If you are this is your first time checking out the broadcast, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I really encourage you to do it. It's probably over here someplace. Hit that subscribe button and let us know that you're watching the broadcast. Maybe even write us a note. You can write to us at the Nevada Conservative at gmail.com, the Nevada Conservative at gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X. You can follow me on Truth Social now, also on Spotify. You can actually download the entire video, I believe it is, on Spotify, and we're going to actually have more of this on Apple Podcasts probably next week. I think that's when we're due to have all this on there. But check us out each and every week. We would love to hear from you. And share this. Share the video. Share this whole thing with people. Let them know that you're watching this crazy Jamaican guy. Okay. So today we're talking about the space shuttle, not the space shuttle, I shouldn't say that, Artemis 2, and our space, how do we want to say this? Our reach for space as a species, and how, if we had just kept doing this back in the 70s, where we would be right now as a people. And I think this is important because I don't think right now, and the people at NASA are excited because they know that next year they're supposed to get Artemis 3 up, and then they're going to plan a colony on the moon. They're going to land on the moon again. They're going to begin to colonize the moon. Sorry about that. Something's in my eye here. And we're just basically setting everything up for the next 10 years or so. And the President Trump has made this one of his priorities. We're really excited about what he's doing here. And the things that come out of us exploring space, the things that come out of the research and development, are things we can use on Earth. And so I'm really excited about it. One of the things they were talking about that I got from one of the conferences they had, and they've been talking about it ever since they came back, these 4 intrepid, spacemen, is that each one of if you look at the moon and you look at all the pock marks that are all over it, those are all marks that that some kind of asteroid or some kind of rock hit the moon. So each one of those pock marks is actually a indentation of where the moon has been hit. Here's the interesting thing about it. Those rocks that hit them are still there. And they are saying that probably each one of these rocks could be some kind of rare earth mineral. It could be gold. It could be, all these kinds of crazy metals that are valuable here on the Earth. So one of the things they're going to be doing is they're going to be mining the moon. And they believe that by them mining the moon, that they're going to be bringing back it's going to dwarf the Earth's economy by tens of thousands of folds. Can you imagine? Right now, we've basically, when we've mined the Earth, if you think about the Earth as a big ball, right? I don't have anything. Let's say, oh, here it is. Golf ball, because I have golf balls everywhere. This is the Earth. Oops. And the Earth, we've gone into the Earth probably that much, literally underneath the soil. No matter how deep you think we've gone into it, the Earth is millions of miles thick. Okay, I mean it's thick with inside the Earth, and we've only penetrated that much of the Earth's crust to get at the minerals, diamonds, gold, silver, that kind of stuff, nickel, that kind of thing, lithium. On the moon, though, because you can all see this now, this is a golf ball, and this golf ball has little pock marks on it. Okay, can you imagine that a rock that went plink and it made that little indentation? It's right there. It could be a mile deep. It could be hundreds of feet deep, but the whole moon is just pockmarked with these rock indentations, and that's one of the things they're going to be doing. So I'm very excited about that. They're going to be able to do that. So that's one of the things they're going to be doing. Plus, they're going to be starting a launch pad for the future trips to Mars. But let's get back to what the Earth would be like, or what the Earth should be like if we had just started and continued with space exploration back in the 70s. Because I think this is one of the things that I don't think people really realize how much we've dwarfed ourselves as a species because we've not done this. And I'm going to read just a little bit of this other research that I've been doing on this, but this is something I think people don't really realize, that we could have already had Mars colonies right now. We would have already been a multi-interplanetary species by now. Food pills, domed cities. Because right now here in Las Vegas, we already are developing domed cities. There's a company that's here right now that they've been working on this for years. Space hospitals. Many of those visions stalled not just because of physics or economics, but because resources and talent were siphoned into terrestrial power struggles, which means Russia was fighting against America because they want to have Ukraine. Okay? China was fighting against everybody in the world because they want to have their Belt and Road thing. All of the resources that we should have been using to extend our reach as human beings and thus expanding us, we're using it on terrestrial things. Can you imagine all the money Iran has used to try to kill Israelis if they had just used it for their own people? Okay? Let's not even say that they try to use it for interplanetary stuff, just to help their own people. Okay? Can you imagine where America would be like if we didn't spend all of our money creating bombs for everybody else, but we spent all of our money trying to explore the heavens. Without that drag, spin-off technologies from sustained Apollo scale or bigger programs would have compounded exponentially. And that's what I think the big thing is. We don't realize it. It wouldn't have just been, oh, guess what? We spent $1 and we got back $1. We would have probably, or gotten $1 worth of produce out of it. We would have seen an exponential growth everywhere on an Apollo scale. I want you to understand something, folks. We'll take a break in just a second, or we really will. What we've possessed in our hands right now is most people have, most of your kids have this thing. It's an iPhone. Okay. When we first went to the moon, we didn't have. There's more computational power in our phones than was in our first moonshot. The reason why is because we just wanted to get to the moon. We just wanted to get there before the Russians did. It was just a space race, okay? So can you imagine what it would be like if we had just continued on, and this is pretty powerful stuff. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You've got a TV station, you've got a radio station. You can do pretty much anything with this phone right now. There's really not much you cannot do with your phone. But can you imagine what kind of technology we would have right now had we just continued to explore the heavens and brought back data and brought back techniques and learned to do this and learned to do that from space? I'm just flabbergasted. Okay. Well, anyways, let's do this. Let's take a really quick break, folks. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about space exploration. We'll talk a little bit more about where we could have been as a human species. And I think this is going to blow your socks off. Okay, so stick around, guys. This is the Nevada Conservative Podcast. I'm your host, Sherman Ray, and we will be back in just a minute. Oh yeah, it's all space exploration, folks. It really is. And I want to apologize because I know some of you folks were watching watching this right from the beginning. And you're going, what is wrong with that guy? He didn't even have his microphone on. My gosh, he just got goofball. And sometimes it happens. I mean, it really does. You hit the wrong button, or you hit the right button, and then things just go sideways. So, anyways, I'm your host, Sherman Ray. I'm the Nevada Conservative. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Nevada Conservative. I really encourage you, if you get a chance, folks, go to our website, thenevadaconservative@gmail.com. thenevadaconservative.com, and check out all the articles that we have out there. We do have an article on this very subject about the Artemis 2 lander, and we're very excited about what it did and what it accomplished over the last couple of days, and so very excited. I mean, if you're like me and you're a kid like me growing up in the United States, you loved space exploration. Oh my gosh, Tang. If you've got, so you've benefited. I mean, pretty much everybody's benefited from the space exploration, and you may not even know it. You probably don't even know it. If you have a pair of Air Jordans right now, that is a result of space exploration. That lightweight, foamy stuff that you got in your shoes. If you had Tang, many people. If you have space food snacks, that kind of telephone, cell phone, that kind of stuff. It all came from that kind of technology. So very exciting things. But so that's what we're talking about. Are some of the offshoots that we probably would have derived had we just continued to explore, continue just to go out there and boldly go where no man has gone before. So I'm very excited about that they're going to do this now. The people at NASA say that they're going to put this on a more consistent cadence, like on a monthly basis, that they're going to be shooting something up in the air, going to be learning stuff a lot more, which is so exciting. I'll tell you. It's not that I don't love politics. I love politics. I really do, okay? But I really want to see mankind get better. And here's the problem with us, and I see it happening each and every day. You have Democrats, and then you have these lefty, loony folks that are out there protesting anything and everything Donald Trump does. I'm really surprised that they're not condemning, Artemis 2 going up into space. So, why are you spending all that money? Okay, because every time they do that, now we have to take resources that, instead of funneling it towards space exploration, now we're funneling it towards defending some federal judge or something like that who's going to try to stop, these great things that we're doing. So, so I had a conversation with Grok, and we just have a couple more minutes, guys. And I asked it, I said, look, if we had just continued just to focus our attention on space exploration, where would we be at? And the answers I got back were fantastic. One of the things, and we just talked about this before, we would probably by now have a permanent off-world settlement. Okay, moon bases by the late 1970s and the early 80s, we would have probably already had that. Okay, with self-sustaining habitats using, I can't say this word, so it's hard for me. In situ resources utilization, some kind of weird thing. Okay, Mars crewed landings in the 1990s. Okay, we'd have already had that by now. Small colonies of 100 people or so by now. Okay, likely focused on science outposts and early terraforming experimentations. Okay, which means they're trying to make things so they can have more people living there, which is pretty cool. Asteroid mining, which we talked about in the first segment. These things would already be normal about mining asteroids, and because supplying with rare earth metals, water to orbital industry, slashing launch costs. We could, I know right now it costs, bazillions of dollars to make all of these things, but we would get better at this stuff, folks. We get better at this stuff all the time, and the cost means it goes from really big, now it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. We would have an orbital infrastructure, almost like the space station, massive space stations and rotating habitats. There's a thing called the O'Neill cylinder or Stanford-Torrey concepts, providing artificial gravity for long-term living. Suborbital point-to-point travel. This is so exciting. Earth to Earth in, guess how many? 30 to 60 minutes. It would be routine for cargo and passengers. It takes longer than that to get to LA. From us, right? But can you imagine, you go up to to the star base up there in 60 minutes or so. There we go. Space elevators, electromagnetic launch systems on the moon might exist for cheap bulk transports. This would be amazing, folks. Let me read. I've got a few more minutes. I'm gonna go over, but I think this is worth it too. Okay. How about energy and infrastructure? Fusion powered commercialization. Okay. We'd almost certainly have grid scale fusion reactors online by the 2010s or earlier. We would have probably already had that by 2010 already. So guess what? All this crap that we're talking about with the solar and everything, we would have already had fusion reactors by now. Massive R&D push would have cracked plasma containment, materials for extreme heats, and diagnostics far sooner. Okay, clean, near limitless energy would power everything. Desalination, carbon capture, and synthetic fuels, making climate issues a solved problem rather than an ongoing crisis. Guys, here's the thing about it. If we want to, solve the carbon thing that like Al, what's his name, former vice president. If we want to solve, have our solutions to global warming and everything else, we need to invest in R&D going to space. Because guess what? By figuring out what kind of engines can work on hydrogen, by expanding our database of things that work to fuel and to heat things, those things can produce clean burning energy and clean burning engines. Climate change would be a thing of the past. Okay. In our timeline, fusion is tantalizingly close in 2026, which means right now. Oh man, high-speed ground and air transport. Okay, we're over, but I'm going to read this last one. Okay, and robotics. Okay, robots would be everywhere. Okay, I'm just going to say that. Okay, some of the greatest and some of the most worst diseases known to man would have been cured by now. But what it's going to take, folks, is it's going to take some people with some guts, with some thinking. Okay, President Trump did something very interesting. he says, guess what? We're going to fund this kind of research. He's a very smart guy, guys. But we've got a bunch of people that they're fighting against him. They're fighting against him on each and every corner. Let's get on board. If you want to end global warming, if you want to feed everybody on the planet, okay? You want to provide for these illegal aliens so they can stay home, okay? Let's all get together and let's work on one common goal going in one direction. Democrats, liberals, progressives, if you don't want to help, get out of the way, because we're going to the moon and beyond. This has been Sherman Ray for the Nevada Conservative Podcast. I want to thank you all for being a part of the broadcast, folks. Remember, we're probably going to have this up and running. We'll have it up on Spotify in the next hour or so. Be sure to check us out on Monday, because we'll have the show back on Monday. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the coolest things. And be sure, folks, you'll probably hear more about this in the next couple of days on some of the more mainstream news outlets. But you heard it here first on the Nevada Conservative Podcast that the future is here today. Thank you, folks, for being a part of the broadcast. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.